We live.
All right.
Yo, all right. We're in the box. Black Box Radio. We are in the box tonight. Listen, this is the community corner. I'm waiting for my mans and them. Twan's not here, but I'm gonna handle this right now until he gets here. But like Twan said, we're on the corner. And we got a special guest. I'm gonna get to him in a second. But I just want to talk about what we do. I'm Queen. I'm a host at Black Box Radio. We are a media platform illustrating Black excellence. We platform Black people. We expose Black genius, and we definitely disseminate information to the Black community and to other communities. But more than anything, we humanize the experience of being Black in America. That's very important. Everyone assumes what we are and the marketing of what we are, but it's very important that it comes from an authentic space. So we are Black people talking about Black things. We do Black, we be Black, we talk Black. That's what we do at Black Box Radio. Please hit us up at our website, blackboxradio.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube. We're trying to build that channel, yo. So please subscribe to that and listen to us. We're doing about 8 or 9 pieces a month. We're in the community, doing community camera. Reach out. blackboxradio@gmail.com is our email. Talk to us. Give us some good suggestions. Tell us what we not. And tell us if we fly. Talk to us. So listen, tonight, we still in Healing August. So that's important. It's for Black people to heal. We have the experience in America for us has been torturous. It's been beautiful. It's been we can go from every gamut of what Black people have experienced in America. But healing is something that we continue to have to do. We live in oppressive systems, and we also live in a country that sometimes don't make space for us. Sometimes we got to kick in the door. So the biggest thing for us is always to have a healing space or something where we feel better or we can actually build ourselves. And we wanted to do that this month in August. Black August, of course, is something that was definitely a big thing in America. When we freedom fighters, we celebrated them in Black August. We don't really do that anymore, but we thought healing would be well this month. And our youth is so important. I mean, the fruit of the tree is the sweet part. The root is there, but that fruit is what we all want to eat. And we want our youth to be impacted by healing also. And so we brought in the expert. We brought in the man. We brought in a Black man that can talk to us about young people. He's smiling like he don't know who he is. We brought in Robert Bizzell tonight. Welcome to the box, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome, and I'm glad to be here.
And we're so happy to have you. And we want to talk about young people. And so first, we want to know who Robert Bizzell is. We're gonna move into what we're going to talk about. Well, who are you? How'd you get here? Are you from Baltimore? What are you doing in Baltimore? That type of thing. Let's talk about Robert.
Well, if we wanted to go all the way back, I think what really defines me is that I start with gratitude. I'm blessed to have come from 2 very loving parents that gave me everything I needed. Everything I don't have, it's on me. I had it all, so I was blessed in that regard.
Yeah.
And, as I got older, though, I started seeing that everybody didn't have that, especially when I got to, I came to Baltimore to attend Morgan State University, out of New Jersey. I'm originally from New Jersey. And after working and getting into the field, working at residential treatment centers, working with youth, spent some time at, non-public schools. I just started really understanding that everyone didn't have the background I had, and I really appreciated it even more.
Yeah.
And it just showed me that these young people that I was dealing with that were, they could be 10 or 15 years old, had already seen more adversity than I had seen. And so it just really made me respect them and understand, appreciate everything that I had. And also it just raised the level of respect for a lot of young people that I was working with. You shouldn't have to be exceptional to be successful, but a lot of them, they had to, and they did.
Yep.
And so I think that really has defined who I am. And it just, I just feel so blessed doing the work I do. I was fortunate, and then, to backtrack, it wasn't like I made it through without any scars, because with all the background and help and support, a big loving family, I still was trying to work against everything they were teaching me.
Of course.
Parents did everything they part, but I still was, messed around, and I was a diversion youth, and I'm going to talk about later what diversion is, but
Yes.
I kind of got tangled up in things, and I understand I'm a man of 3 and 4 and a man of 5 chances. I had a lot of second chances. So I think that's what defines me, is that I feel very fortunate, and I've seen people that have had to go and fend for their own, and get their own on it by themselves. So I just try to keep that in front of my mind, and be mindful of that when I work with people.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, I always say, Brother Rob, is like we all are second chances. Like we just didn't get caught, or somebody gave us a branch. You know what I'm saying? But I talked to someone today, and they said, I read something on their page like Black children have to be exceptional at the beginning. They don't get a chance to make a mistake. They don't get a chance to mature. They don't get, if they're not exceptional from the door, then listen, we got a place for them, or something's going to happen to them, or they get caught up in violence that is plaguing our communities. So it's very important that we had the chance to grow up. We had a chance to come into our own, and we got to foster that space for our young people. And Baltimore has some issues. We are losing young people. We're using old people. Listen, we're just losing people in Baltimore, and Black people, and all other people too. But we mostly as African Americans dying on these streets, and we have to find a way to kind of foster greatness from our young people. What do you see? Since we're talking about youth, that's our conversation tonight, and you work with youth. What do you see the biggest barrier to our young people, and why are they having so many issues in Baltimore City?
Well, I think the issue is not only Baltimore City. I think this is going around the country. Actually,
Absolutely.
this is just not in Baltimore, but some of the I think we were talking a little earlier about the different systems. So we can talk about the school systems and the criminal justice system, among the many that have not been at their best, for 50, 100 years. Things that have been in place that people of color have had to obstacles hurdles they've had to jump over unnecessarily. And for example, when I see young people and we might tell them to pull their pants up, or or say speak with better diction, but
yes,
they could just look at us and say, well, where were you 5 years ago? You left me this, and you guys, where all those elders that yell at me for one thing or another, you kind of abandoned us. They inherited the world we left them.
That's true.
So our school systems and all these are all overburdened and challenged, but it is not their fault. This is something that they inherited.
Yeah.
So at this point, I know that the work I do, I'm so excited about it. I think that it addresses just one of the many issues and concerns of young people. But I know that the criminal justice system and over incarceration of our youth is something that has been plaguing us, and I'm so excited about working in youth diversion and that work. I think that really addresses some of the challenges here in Baltimore City, because when a young person struggles at home, struggles in school, it's most likely that they're going to be coming to the attention of the criminal justice system, and it's typically not going to end well. So that's why I think that the youth diversion work and our youth justice work is really work that will pay off, that will have dividends. It's not something that you won't see. I think it's something that will pay off in the immediate future, to address those disparities in the youth detention centers, and keep these youth in the communities where they can attend school and be with their families when able.
That makes sense. It sounds like you're talking about restorative circles. It's like a restorative justice. In other words, is being able to work with the youth to restore them
Mhm.
in a way than to actually pushing them into a system that is going to break them down.
Well, and so if I'm allowed to just talk about what the youth diversion work does, because that is
Please.
one element. The restorative justice is
Okay.
definitely an element of it. And so, the traditional criminal justice system, for youth commits an offense, law enforcement will arrest them and
Yes.
and transport them. But we feel like those youth are better served by the community addressing their needs, and
Okay.
not making it an immediate criminal justice response. Now we're clear, because I think some people get concerned and say, you're just going to give them a slap on the wrist and let them go. They need consequences. They need to be held accountable. But I think that sometimes that there are a certain number of youth that are better served by getting help, and the community wrapping their arms around them and providing them, connecting them with services, and it could be mentoring, mental health. It could be any number of things. After you figure out what their issues are.
Mm-hmm.
But all youth, aren't going to be better served by just getting locked up, because we have this need to punish, or this need to get our pound of flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I get it. Somebody bust your window or do something to you, you're going to be upset about it. But we as practitioners, we have to just, with cool, calm heads, and look at the data and look at how incarceration of youth doesn't end well with the recidivism. Is high recidivism. When youth, it leads, over incarceration leads to higher dropout rates for our youth.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just really exciting to see something that can be put in place and actually have results. I mean, we spend so much time trying to find what can help, what the solutions are. But I think addressing that disparity and getting kids back on track before they are tangled up in the criminal justice system and unnecessarily, I think it's really helpful.
Well, you know what? I like that. I like restorative circles, restorative justice. I love diversion tactics, because we have to divert from what we've been doing. It's not working. We're clear of that. But what I don't see when it comes to when we're actually creating these spaces for young people is that we do these diversionary tactics, we do restorative justice, but we don't go after policy. And if this is happening in every model, okay, you said it's not just happening in Baltimore. You're right. I go down south where my mother is, it's happening there. I go to New York, it's happening there. You go to the West Coast, it's happening there. This is policy discrimination. And we have not looked at why is policy, the implication of what policy does. So we divert young people. And then once they're diversion and they're doing good in this space, the policy is still waiting to grab them up. We got to look at a way to get to this part, because if it's happening in other places, that means there's a federal movement. There's a movement across the board that allows this type of behavior, and it hurts young people, hurts all people, because usually if it's hurting young people, it's hurting older people too. It's not just hurting young people. So that's what I don't understand, is why haven't we looked at overall policy initiatives? The criminal justice system wants a pound of flesh because what? It makes money off that flesh. We got to look at the part of that. What do you think about that when I say that?
Well, I think that policies, and you're right, that's something that was one of the biggest barriers. There was an evaluation of the diversion work here in the city that was done by the Children's Center for Law and Policy.
Okay.
And they said that, one of the barriers was lack of policy, the lack of really hard line rules and things to follow. And, that's what we're doing now. We've been putting that in place for the last couple of years. I mean, if the history of it was that the diversion work came out of the issue, of, I think, because of Freddie Gray, the political mindset of the entire country over the last couple of years with Floyd, and just some of the challenges that the city's had over the last couple of years, and with the Department of Justice, is still in a consent decree. Policy is at the forefront of the work that's taking place right now here in Baltimore. The consent decree monitoring team is ensuring that work is taking place as it's supposed to. We have a willing, the administration is taking it serious. That the federal government is watching closely, supporting the work that's being done here. So policy is at the heart of it right now. And you're right that, but if you look closer, they have changed. Like the Baltimore City Police Department, they're guided now by new policies. Some that just came out this summer that really guides their everyday work. They don't make a move without it. So it is policy driven now. And maybe you're right. It's probably a little later than we would all want. It may not be the way that everyone wants it, but there is definitely policy being driven from the top to the bottom. The Baltimore City Police Department, the Department of Juvenile Services, and the different organizations. They are driven
education.
by.
We need to talk about education.
Yeah.
When we talk about all of these systems, it's because there's a lack of rational thought and a gross unintelligence, unfortunately, because they're not being served correctly educational wise. Yeah. And education should allow some exposure outside of Baltimore City, so we can expand mindsets. But what I like is that you guys are looking at policy, and this is not a city talk. Like, I don't want us to get in a conversation of what the city is doing, because I think a lot of times, administrations change, but the same behavior is continuing. We go from one administration, now we get a young guy, we still got murders, we still got disenfranchised, we still got the tax sale. Like, I can go. We still because when you're putting people out of their homes, and we still got blight, we still got sinkholes, we still so I can go on and on about what the city is not doing, and I'm very happy that they're looking at ways of doing and being very what I would say is they're not proactive. So I got to give you reactive at least, because there is no proactive that I've seen. Because if we would have did this in the O'Malley administration and the Schaefer administration, especially with his crazy behind. So we see the grand movement of disenfranchised of Black people, the whiteout, the black butterfly. This is driven by the same administrations. They've allowed this, the corporatization of Johns Hopkins and University of Maryland. I can go on. And I don't want to make it a city talk. I want to restore and renew our young people, because remember, me and you were Black youth.
Yeah.
we were the ones and when I was growing up, they said, "Oh, y'all ain't gonna make it. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing." That music, that's when hip hop came. Yeah. I'm aging myself, and it was like, that music, that's the devil music. Hip hop is taking over the world now. Now we trapping, we doing all type of things to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So we were Black youth, and really, what I grew up in, these kids have technology, they have access. They have things that we didn't. Our parents could say something to us, Rob, and we kind of believe it because we ain't have nothing else to go against but the encyclopedia.
But it's funny you said that, because being in New Jersey in the 80s, big Black male, complete target. Just getting on the highway was crazy.
95 corridor was crazy.
Right, corridor. Yeah. So, I hear what you're saying. It's a new set of problems. I mean, we had our problems. This is a new set of problems that we're addressing. Technology that's attached to it now. And I don't know if it's more crime and issues, or are we just seeing it, and we see it faster and more often all around the world. So yeah, but you're right. It is. There have been a set of challenges, but this is a new separate. It's just
it's a whole new paradigm. It's a whole new paradigm. And I think the approach is still old. We're still trying to say, "Oh, get a job. Yeah. Oh, do this." They're not doing that. Stop telling kids that. They're not doing that. So we have to infuse technology into. You can't give them a smartphone and then say, "Oh, put it down."
But we got to catch up. It's us old
people.
We
got to catch up.
Yeah, we telling them our stuff, and we really have to catch up and adapt to the now.
And we haven't adapted. And I everybody want to say they have, because I pride myself with trying to adapt to what they're going. I understand. I created a program, and we're creating programming for young people between 18 and 24 to teach technology with the emphasis on new media. You can see that the Squeegee Project. So we're looking to do great things with young people. We understand that if you want to teach them carpentry, You got to do it 3D. You can't teach them with no nailing. No. You got to find a way to infiltrate what they like. And
Right.
we're not doing that. We want to go the old way. Oh, get a trade, drive a truck. All you see is older. Yeah, they're gonna drive a truck for a minute, but they're gonna try to get their own business and do something in the technology world.
You're right. It is. Even for me, it's, we say to youth, hey, we want you to participate, we want you to take the lead, but it feels uncomfortable for me to even just give them control and ask them what they want and to like really give them what they ask for, because we're so ready to take the steering wheel back. But and I think some of the work I've done, I've worked with a lot of challenging, fragile families. Like I said, I worked in a lot of locked facilities and non-public schools, and but I have to remember when I'm around young people how amazing they are, and I get blown away by some of the things that they do. That I said, this young man's gonna come take my job. Like they're really on point. So we got to remember that, and that renews my like energy and faith and hope, because I said they smarter than me. So my children help me they teach me how to do PowerPoint. So
and we have to allow them that space. That empowers them to want to do more. When they can teach you that's a proud thing. When I could show my parents something, I love that. And imagine young people teaching us, and we have to allow that, but also be so grounded in our space that we can inspire them to come back and get some wisdom.
Right.
See, we're so busy trying to control the boat. We want to allow the boat to float.
But Queen, everybody over 30 isn't full of wisdom either, so we got to remember that too. They're not getting pearls of wisdom from all of us.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them are making it on their own, and we just got to keep that in mind. And a lot of them are fending for themselves. I see a lot of them that just are, trying to make it the best way they can. It's amazing. And then, we all have our own choices to make. Some make bad choices. Some of our young people, they are doing things that they shouldn't do. And it's all, that's also part of being young. They're bringing the development, impulse control, all of that. But that's what we're supposed to be there to stop, to help them with that and to support them.
But I see adults doing the same thing. And that's why we cannot be so hard on them, because I see adults who can't control their impulses, who are not performing and living up to their best self, and living in their carnality and doing all type of I'm on my all type of foolishness. So I see that too, but we make excuses for that. Young people should have the place to do it too. But then if we're in a space in their lives, they will revert. I really think that they'll revert back to some things that we've done, because they have to respect sometimes where we've been, but we have to make ourselves open to them leading. And then when they fall, we don't say, oh, I told you. We pick them up, nurture them, and allow them to build a relationship with us. What about that?
We all have a responsibility.
Yeah.
Not young people. We can't just stop and point fingers.
Yeah.
Like I said, we adults, we've all, we've had a part to play. In a lot of the things they didn't develop. They didn't develop the criminal justice system, the schools, the courts. This is not their doing. But I think, like I said, that we have to remember that they're young people that are not able to make all the right decisions all the time. That's why they have adults that in their lives to guide them.
Absolutely.
Exhibit A, my parents kept, there was the perfect blend of patience, toughness. I think sometimes, I think my dad, I think some days if I thought I could have took him, but he was ready to like, nah, not yet, buddy. So he was there. So, that guidance just keeps you on track, because as a young person, they were gonna fight it, you're gonna resist it, but you need it, and they want it, even though they might kick back and push
they back. Want it. Exactly. And it's so amazing. We got similar backgrounds, because I grew up with two parents too.
Okay.
And as a woman, a lot of times that's exceptional, because we don't get to see a Black man every night. or every day. I saw a black man every day in my house, and it was a blessing. And when I came to college, or when I started living my full self and being around other women, and not having that experience of having a black man in their house, and even to the point now we have children that don't have black women in their households. Let's be clear that you have men raising children too, more than it has ever been, and so we have to understand that the dynamic of family has changed too. And I don't think we've made these adjustments that, technology came in and swooned in, and then we still trying to be on a calculator. No, it's a way to compute this thing, but we have to find a different playground. And I think my age and older, we're still talking about, oh, they just don't want to listen. They just don't want to follow the rules. But who made the rules? Who made the damn rules?
What I've kind of like over the years, I would see that those young people grow up to be adults, but they still carry those issues and that baggage and that trauma, those lessons or those unlearned lessons. And I was talking to a young man that I met in the community. Got his information, his contact information. Right here in Baltimore City, and his mother somehow got my number and understood that I was working with him, and she just talked about his background and was just really thankful that he was getting some assistance.
Okay.
But the way she talked like he was 15, and the man was 35 years old. So like
you can't make me sit back and say he was. She said 50.
He was. I mean, she talked about him like he was a youth, like he was still her. To her, it was still her baby, but he just was. He just was underdeveloped, and like this. That's the result of what we're talking about when they don't. When young people don't get get what they need.
Yeah, and women being the head of household sometimes is not a good space. I'm a woman, and I know that we're strong, and I know that we're great, and I know that yes, we can turn out children and be single mothers, but a lot of time with our young men is they have so many characteristics of women, and I think that it's hard sometimes for women definitely protect their boys. We love our boys because we love men. So we love our little boys, and we prepare little girls to protect boys. And unfortunately, and I don't want to talk about parenting because people say, "Oh, you don't have no children," and I don't talk about parenting, but I just think that I came from a 2-family home, and it's important. And if you don't have 2-family, please get your son and your daughter some mentors. Get them something different than you that's outside of the family that's going to give them some hard lessons.
I mean, yeah, it's a village. It takes everyone from family members to that coach, that art teacher, to the lady on the block. That's what I needed all of that. I got all of that. It was just another era. The neighbor that said, "I'm gonna tell your mother, you better get over there." I knew, I'm here. I mean, my principal stepped way out of his lane, and he's responsible for me getting to Morgan. When they didn't understand HBCUs, and he did. He was a black man, and and when I told some of the counselors and administrators at my school that Mr. A had, some things in mind at a couple of colleges, and they kind of poo-pooed it like, "Oh, well, Mr. A." But when I went to him, this is having like, I'm so grateful to have this strong man in my life, this strong black man in my life who, you think about it like a Mr. He kind of reminded you of the basketball coach from Georgetown, but
John Thompson.
Yeah, John Thompson.
Yeah.
When I said, "Hey, they had," they said they didn't know if I should do that, and he said, "Boy, do what I told you to do." And that was the end of that conversation.
That was the end of that conversation.
And that's how pivotal it was for me because, I would have took, I was ready to take their advice. Like, well, maybe I should go to the local county, but it's just, I'm just grateful for having all of those. You need all those people in your life.
All of those people.
Mentor, everything. It could be from anyone, a police or anybody that can just feed, breathe life into you.
That is so true. And I think a lot of times that's not what's happening. There's not a lot of breath, not a lot of oxygen in the hood, bruh.
And then you talk about, a single mom, which I know they can do it.
Oh, they
I
can do
know
it.
they can, but
Hmm.
it's just that it's at a price for some.
It
Not
is.
everybody and everyone's different, but some people, it just wears on them, and I don't know how they would do it because I'm married and I have children, and
Okay.
I just don't know how it's done. So hats off to them.
Yeah.
Um, and even single or a 2-parent household, it just requires that love and attention and patience, and we just got to remember that that they didn't ask to be here. That they need our best.
That is it. That is it. I mean, I work with some 14-year-olds, and it's I love them, but
But
some
what?
are they have parents sometimes. I'm like, wow, the parent is the friend.
Oh well.
And maybe that's the way parenting is now. I don't know, but I know that we we gotta find a way to give a lot of a lot of what children need in the household. A lot is, we're depending on the school system. We're dependent on the men in the, your mans and them on the corner to kind of talk to him, or but we got to get in some books, and we got to really, really, if we don't even have a man there, or we don't have a woman there, we have to really, really try our best to sow into our young people. I can't say how to do it, but we got to do it, and because we see the manifestation of letting them be and make their own choices. I mean, the things that's going on in Baltimore are scary,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, I think it's more of I think it's a reflection on the adults.
It is. It absolutely is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Because it's just, but that's also, it's then how far up the line do you want to go? Because a lot of folks, black people in this country have just, they had to struggle with an unordinary amount of
Yeah, we
stress and
suffer.
trauma.
Exactly.
It's
We
hard,
transferred trauma. Trauma has transferred.
right.
So we do have generational trauma. See, the thing about the Black life, it have so much to deal with. We got to do the generational trauma. We got to do the in-house trauma. We got to do the jailhouse trauma. We got a lot. The drug trauma, the hood trauma.
Right. Yeah.
We got a lot to deal with, but um, there has to be a way. I mean, our
Right. We
history.
have to, though. We just have to.
We just have to. We got to
We have
find
to.
a way to dig out the hole. We have to find a way to dig out the hole. So in Baltimore, what is going on with the diversion, and what you guys are doing in the what's your office? Yeah, tell us what your office is, and kind of help me out.
All right. So, well, first of all, I started, back in 2016 when it was the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice. And the focus was, I believe, a lot of technology, folks, the cameras, and surveillance and different things around that nature, and relationships with BPD, providing them with data and oversight. And so a couple of years ago, with Mayor Scott came on board, they changed the name with the name and the focus of our office to the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, and that's Director Shantae Jackson came on board at that time. And I'm really, I'm excited about that. So when I say I'm excited about something in Baltimore City government, I know I'm inviting the wrath.
You're real excited.
But I say that because I just feel like the transition, as somebody that was in the community, somebody said, "Oh, you with the mayor's office?"
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of good work getting done, but I think now we are better prepared and suited to work with our community members to strengthen them, coordinate, fund, organize. How do we even, you could be working over in East Baltimore, having your, a mentor program, but there could be another one in East Baltimore that doesn't know about you. And I
Yeah,
think that, that's the
that's
function
the
of
problem. Yeah,
city government. I think, we've kind of taken that on. And like the funding has been really great to be able to tell people, hey, you can apply for a grant on our portal, that website. There's funding available for different projects and ideas. And so those kind of things that I can really say are really good, and I know that's not always popular to say, but I do believe that we turned a corner, and And so anyway, I'm excited about the future of some of the things we're doing in our office. You know, the gun
That's
violence
what's up.
prevention, the victim services work.
Okay.
So those are the things that I'm excited to be a part of and think that we're really going to have good outcomes. But the diversion work was already in place with the post-arrest diversion. That means a youth was arrested or transported to DJS because he committed an offense,
Okay.
and that he was transported to DJS and was processed, and went through the intake process.
Okay.
And at that point, they would say this youth is eligible for a diversion. He will not, we're not going to put him through the traditional process and be adjudicated and go through the courts. He's going to go through the diversion program where they're going to get him. They're going to place him in different programs and services that are going to help address some of the issues. Right? And that's been in place for about 10 to 11 years here in Baltimore City.
Okay. Wow.
And that's good. That's good. I think it does prevent.
So you're telling me this has been in place, so why hasn't it manifested?
Post-arrest. Well, it has. The number of youth that have been processed or arrested or going through DGS has dramatically decreased over the years.
All right.
And that's because of an effort for that to happen.
Because they spent a lot of money for prison, baby booking, and they spend a lot of money for spaces for juveniles. I really think that money is earmarked for the system when it could be earmarked for greatness. And now later down, after we get a new administration, we got grants and portals, but you could have had grants and portals. That's real talk. I mean, you earmarked 12 million, 25 million, 200 million to house young people in a juvenile center and put a school in there. You just think. You put a school in there, so that means you've thought this out. You thought to educate them in behind bars. This is well thought out. Then you to sit down at the table and say, listen, let's put these things and building blocks in place. Let's get these rec centers. Let's get some educational pieces in the rec center, not just go in there and play. Some educational pieces, some chess clubs, some different things, some technology, and build young people. But I don't ever see that. It's always jail, BPD, statistics, and look what we got.
That could be a failure of not getting that information out, but there has been around the state, there's been a reduction in youth coming into the criminal justice system intentionally.
I need you to send me them numbers.
Okay. Well, there was an excellent evaluation done of the diversion program by the Children's Law Center, and but it was done in 2018. I can send it to you. I wish, but it was a diversion assessment back in 2018 done by the Children's Law Center, and I could. You can either Google that, or I definitely can send you the link.
But I wish you send me a link. But it is 2022, and technology has so balanced. It's on a whole new tier. The world has changed dramatically due to health and viral conditioning of the world. We got
but what's happened since 2018 is that they have put those recommendations in place. And so now what's been taking place is that I think born out of Freddie Gray and a lot of the tension that I addressed earlier in West Baltimore, they started meeting and talking about how we could take that youth diversion even further. And so we also now have the pre-arrest youth diversion. So that's a youth that would not be transported. They would not visit the Department of Juvenile Services.
Okay.
The officer on site will see a youth or have reason to believe that a youth committed a qualifying offense, and that could be destruction of property, misdemeanor, common assault, unauthorized use of a vehicle. There's a few others, but if those qualifying offenses, they won't transport them. They'll contact me, the youth opportunity coordinator, and I will, speak with the youth, get their contact information, make sure I have make it that I can get in touch with them in the near future to meet with them and their families to do an intake and an assessment and ensure that they get in touch with some of the services and programs, organizations that will prevent them from coming into contact with the police again.
I like
And,
that.
yeah, and so that's something that came out of the report that I talked about.
The
And also,
recommendations.
yes,
Okay.
those are some of the recommendations. And also,
Yeah.
I said like this in West Baltimore, there was some of the. I think Ray Kelly was there. I know my director Shantae.
Yeah, that's my man Ray.
They were
Yeah.
driving that work. It was really born out of a really kind of a space of we have to do something different.
Yep.
And right now we're in our pilot phase. It started in January with the pre-arrest youth diversions. It's only in the Western Police District. Right? It's a pilot in the Western Police District. And like I said, an officer, if a youth is committing a qualifying offense, they will stop them, hold them, contact me, and then I will address them with the support of our team and different service providers and organizations. And we just feel like some youth are better served by being assisted by the community and not going through the criminal justice system and the regular process. And I get it. Like I talked about earlier, like, people feel like, oh, you just slap them on the wrist, they're getting away with murder, that, you're not punishing them, they're going to just come back. But that, the data says that there are benefits that, every youth that goes through, like I said, that over incarceration just leads to, higher dropouts, higher recidivism.
Yeah.
So it's not always healthy to go through, but some people do, some people have to be separated. Some people need a timeout. Like I'm not saying that everyone just, is best served by youth diversions over and over again.
I get that. I think too, though, we are punish prone in society, and it starts from how this society was set up. And when you look at the people who are in the society and Black people across the board, and how we flourished in conditions that nothing should flourish in, and then but this continual mindset that when we do something, we should be punished. It's like we are your property and we punish you, and this is you sticking the rules. But these are all acculturated mindsets. These are born out of spaces of oppressive tactics to continue to punish, and this punish first mentality. But if we look at other nations and we look at how they approach their youth and how they approach adjudication and how they approach violence, it comes from a space of a social issue, and that is just bigger than them and what they did. But why did they do it? The causative action of why, and we're only seeing the effect. And until we actually pull back the layers, but then the layers we would have to pull back, the what I call the WSA. And I don't nobody want to talk about that. That's that white supremacy apparatus.
Okay.
Nobody want to talk about her. But if you pull her back and really deal with her, then you really understand why all of us think in our mindsets, because it's being drilled into us. You didn't follow the rules. You're bad. You should be punished. Everybody need a timeout. No, they don't need no damn timeout. What you need is have a society that is accessible to everyone, and then put it in a space where young people feel valued, and then we give them things to make them greater, and then we see them go to work. But we're not ready for that, because that empowers them, and sometimes it makes some of us extinct because we old dinosaurs anyway. You get what I'm saying? So I think this rule-based punish thing is a problem.
And I think it's also important that just everyone, we try to address people across the board equally. The disparities are just, obvious. So that's.
But the disparities aren't equal. So that's what I have the problem is the disparity in our communities are up here. But then when it's time to address it, we should address it equally. Ain't nothing equal about it.
Well, that's exactly what, that's what this work is about.
Park Heights. Tell me how they're the same. They're not. I went to Locust Point the other day. Locust Point is a daggone resort. But then let's come over here to Southwest Baltimore. Let's go down. Let's go over there off of North Avenue. Let's go down some of those streets. So it shows that how policy and how mindsets are driven by the folk who have the power. And so we cannot address it. Only way that people who are oppressed are going to come up, they got to get more. And society has to be happy with that, because you reamed them and put them in this predicament. So we got to give them more. Until we get out of this, address people equally. We're not equally being attacked.
And I guess it's all wrapped up with racism and classism, like because you talk
sex,
about
all the isms.
yeah,
All
all
of
this.
them.
You talk about money. A lot of it's power and money
Yep.
and racism, and it's just
And
it's a
and I
pretty
know it's not
nasty state.
something that you could and it's not about you, Rob. I'm just trying to throw things out. I don't want you to think it's personal. I
No,
love Robert Bizzell. That's
no,
my man's in them. But I just want you to understand that, when I look at things, we look at it from this very copacetic way, like we can solve this thing. But we don't understand that there has to be more resources in places that have been upended by the system.
So, Queen, I would say that I don't pretend to feel like I have all the answers to
Okay.
solve, all the
Mm-hmm.
problems. But I'm excited because I'm
Yeah.
able to address this piece of it with this youth justice work that I'm able to do. I feel
Excellent.
so fortunate to be able to do something that I really believe in.
Mm.
I'm not always been blessed to do that. And I'm just excited that, I've seen a lot and, I've been seen a lot of transitions since I've been
Uh-huh.
here in City Hall, but I'm so happy that I'm able to do the work that I do.
I listen, I love that. Anybody excited to go to work? Because I don't like going to work. So, bro, you excited to help
I
young
mean,
people?
I
Go
say it
in
because
your place.
I know, but I say that because I struggled for a while. I just didn't know, like in all the years over the years I worked, there weren't always happy endings. I
Yeah.
worked VSS and CPS. I worked, I just worked around a lot of spots that
Yeah.
it was some intense work. But I'm just so happy that this is something that I believe in. I think we're connected with Los Angeles County. They're the ones that we've gotten a lot of information from them about their pre-arrest diversions. So they've
Okay.
taken a
Also, they
lead.
do have that. This going on in other parts of the country.
Yeah, it's going in other parts of the country. Not a lot though. The pre-arrest is not as common as the
Okay.
post-arrest. So it's something that's I call it the tip of the spear, where we're a lot of things that just a couple of years ago you'd have been laughed out of the room and say, like even the 911 diversion work, that's that we're doing that in the office. So I mean, there are things that I've sat in the building and seen.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, that's new. There's a so that it's cool to see those things happen. But
Okay.
yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of things that you're right. It's that I don't pretend to say that it's a fix, but I'm just excited to have to be part of like the solution for one of these problems.
I love that. I love that. You feel that you're part of something that's really, really going to make differences, because you can't fix everything. I can't fix everything. This is an honest conversation, but I know we can't fix everything. And you're in the sphere of helping young people, and we want to restore and renew them and find a way that's going to be better served for them to grow in this city. Baltimore is a beautiful city. There's a lot going on in this city that is shitting up the name of B-more. Charm City is beautiful, and we got to have young people care about Charm City. You know what I'm saying? It's not going on right now.
Right. And somebody, as a Giants fan, a guy from Jersey,
Oh
got to
my!
give Baltimore,
You can't say Giants in the
they got me,
Ravenland, bro.
they got me. I do
Bro,
feel
this Ravenland. You can't say nothing but no
oh well,
Giants out
what are
here.
y'all mad about? Y'all got us in the Super Bowl. It's no problem. But I just feel like it's a beautiful city, and I think about even like so speak. But I think I think of the young people, and and as they come up, I think that things can be better over the next 10 years. Like we don't just a few. There was a time when we went through the whole thing with Clinton and even the former mayor from a few years ago, where there was just over arrest.
Yeah.
So now, and
O'Malley.
that was with the
Let me
blessing
name
of
them.
everyone. That was
You're
with the
not
blessing
naming
of
O'Malley. That's
right,
who did it.
O'Malley. But that was with the
Yep.
blessing of everybody, black
Unusual.
and white. We kind of went along with that.
Yep.
And all of us
Because we were afraid. People
and we just thought that
fear
was
in
the answer.
society.
Right. So now I think we've kind of grown, and if we don't learn from our past mistakes,
Yeah.
we're bound to repeat them. So I
Yes.
see now like everyone's clear on over incarceration is not the answer.
It's not the answer.
Right. So I think that's growth. I mean, it's not it's not enough, of course, and we still need more.
I think Baltimore City might be clear. The courts ain't clear. They still open. They still sending them to jail, bro. The jail is still popping, unfortunately. But I understand what you're saying. That
What do you think about the influence of like the new state's attorney that's going to be coming? What do you think that's going to bring?
You want to hear my opinion for real?
I mean, it's your show.
First, I want to say Twan had an emergency meeting. That's why my brother's not here with me. So he did apologize, and he's going to hit you up, Rob, for sure. So he had some things at work, and it's explosive. So he had to
I
take
didn't
care
even
of that.
talk about how I met Twan, but I asked you a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You got the question. Yeah, Twan ain't here today. He don't get no love today. Sure. That's my brother. You don't get no love today. So you said what I feel about the new state's attorney. You
I
want
mean,
to
yeah,
hear this for real?
can I rephrase that? Because what do you think the influence could be of the state's attorney's office? Where you have the mayor, you have
Yeah,
the police commissioner. What
sure.
do you feel like the state's attorney? What influence is that going to be?
Well, I think the number one problem we're not defining what state's attorney is. That we want to utilize the state's attorney as a big another form of the police, like an arm of the police. The state's attorney is supposed to prosecute everybody. So that, I think that's not how it should be. I think the state's attorney should have a prudent experience in the city and should be able to look at and weigh what's best for the city, but the city as a whole, not the Jews in Park Heights, not the white folk in Locust Point, not the Muslims over here in Division. It need to be a state's attorney that is ready and willing to do what's prudent for the growth of the city as a whole. And the city is not growing as a whole. Certain places are growing. Fells Point is growing, Canton is growing, but other places are languishing. Cherry Hill is growing, and on certain spaces because Under Armour is there. So I just think that the state's attorney, well, the way that we represent it and talk about the state's attorney, it's about prosecuting, but it should be about prudent leadership when it comes to prosecution. Not everyone should be prosecuted, and these lower level crimes, if you're not going to prosecute them, I have no problem with that. But you didn't set up anything for that. You can't just say not prosecute and then allow them to just be hanging everywhere. We gotta find, if we're gonna build systems to put people away, we gotta build systems to aspire greatness. We never look to build those systems. We always either punishment or you do the right thing. But there's a middle ground, and the state's attorney, I think, has should have the ability to give prudent leadership when it comes to prosecution. And I don't know if the new state's attorney is in that space. He sounds like he wants to lock up everybody. That's not going to work neither. That's never worked. And so I don't think that's going to work. Marilyn Mosby, I think she has some good initiatives. I really did. I don't dislike her. I think personally we get our personal lives sometimes get caught up into what we do, and then people come after you. And I think when she prosecuted the police, that was the end of her career, because she went after a system in the city that is not going to allow that. So I think that's what happened to her. Now this new guy, I got to see what he does, but he sounds to me like he's going to lock up everything. Black, rat, crack, cat, don't matter. What you think?
I think that it's just important.
And you work for the mayor's office now. Come on.
I mean, I can say this with all honesty. I think that coordination among all three is key. Like they can't be.
So all three though.
I'm sorry, the mayor's office, the police, the Commissioner Harrison, and the new Baltimore State's Attorney. Okay. I think that as long as they're working together, I mean, and that doesn't mean they have to agree on everything, but I think they just have to find a way to work together. And that's something that I know in our office that we really stress is, that relationship that we have with law enforcement and, Commissioner Harrison, I know my director, Shantae Jackson, they work very closely together. And, now with the arrival of, the new state's attorney, I think that's the most important, just working together, not always agreeing on everything. Cause they all, three of them they all have three different kind of focuses that, they kind of address, but just that developing that relationship, communication.
Yeah.
Those silos in Baltimore are real and dangerous and deadly.
Yep.
So that's what we trying to eradicate that. And again, I've seen a lot. I've seen some things over a few years, and I have to say that even if they aren't all immediately corrected, I think they're being targeted and reduced. Like silos. We don't do that. Even in our own office, everyone need to work together, be familiar with each other's work. We stress our relationships with, because of diversion. I didn't talk about our partners, Department of Juvenile Services. We have a weekly work group meeting. Oh. We make sure that we communicate and work closely with our partners from the police department, the Department of Juvenile Services, the consent decree monitoring team is there. and the Office of the Public Defender. I talked about the Children's Law Center. So all of them are there so that we can make sure that everyone's represented and that different views are heard. And and sometimes there's disagreement once or twice, but you know that it has to be heard, and you got to work it out. You can't just say I
But
don't.
what I'm hearing is all of the systems meet. But what about the community? The community is hurting.
Yeah.
And when you come into a meeting, they mute your mic. You can't talk to you guys. You guys sit up there like Jesus and the disciples, getting on my damn nerves.
Well, I'll tell you.
And so the issue I'm seeing is DGS, all of the initials meet. Because see, that scares me when all the CPS, DPS, DGS, DD, when they all meeting. This is systematic meeting, but the community needs a space in this conversation because they're the ones hurting. The people who meet in downtown, they don't live on Rose Street. The people who meet in downtown, they don't live in Park Heights. The people who meet in downtown don't live on Division, and they're not living in a hot area. So they do and talk about what you
they do
about?
like. So I was surprised when I got here. I was a little ignorant to like the level of work that's taking place here in the city. And I'm gonna do a little.
Where were you?
I wasn't at the homeowners association meeting in the Western District with Miss Inez Brown or over on Monument Street with Mr. Guyton.
Yep.
Or the brother Rocky over on Madison. I could just these people that are doing work, and I'm like, holy! I didn't have any idea
they're doing work.
They were doing work, and so that's what I talk about, how like supporting that already, because there's no way that a city agency is going to be able to do all this work in the city. There are people and organizations, nonprofit, profit, citizens, churches, synagogues, and mosques that, if with the support of government, and working alongside, I think it could be done. But it can't be done with thinking that it's going to come from a city agency or the police. It's going to take everyone, and there's enough resources here in the city to get it done. There are people doing things like a young man might pay the kids in his neighborhood to clean up the trash.
Yeah.
And do you understand the impact that has, of the lessons they learn, and then they get a couple of dollars? And, so those things are going all over the city, and if we could just support those efforts and build on them, and I've seen that firsthand. Like I said, I didn't even know these people existed. There's a lot of amazing work taking place.
It's a lot of Baltimore wouldn't be. Let me say, Baltimore will fall apart if it wasn't no grassroots.
That's right.
Baltimore will fall apart because the city meets with itself. It don't meet with community. I said it. So I said it. And so my goal, I love to hear what's going on that we don't know what's going on. But I think a lot of times is, you guys should sit with some of the community leaders and talk to us. You know what I'm saying? This is an open invitation to Miss Jackson. Shantae, please come see me, sis. Brother Mayor, come on and sit down with a sister, because really in the bigger things is I don't want to attack you. I want to work with you. So listen, let's talk to a person that is not Fox 45, is not 11. It's not Channel 2. When y'all going to talk to some Black folk? You got a city that's 60%, 70% Black. And when I look at y'all popped up on Fox 45 grinning with Madison. So,
Are they grinning?
No, mad as hell because Madison coming for them. So,
So I'll say I will connect you with our media specialist, Ms. Sydney Brown.
Okay, that'll work. But and it's not really just to talk. I really want to find solutions for.
I'm talking about developing a relationship so that you got, so you can.
Yeah, we need that. We need to have open forums with the community. Hear what they have to say, not filter what they have to say. Come into your space, mute the mic, control everything. We cannot be that way with a community that is suffering, that's oppressed, that's going through what it's going through. You cannot fix this in boardrooms. It is a grassroots effort, and the city has to come out of City Hall. Y'all got to come out.
Well, the work I was talking about is necessary. We have every week. It's a working meeting. Okay, and that's what I was describing.
A working meeting with all of these
partners that complete, and we're looking to. I didn't even talk about how we're looking to develop and build on the pre-arrest diversions citywide, and right now we're looking at
I like that pre-arrest,
having an evaluation completed to look at the work that we've already done and see what would be the best fit for the work we're going to do and how should we move forward. And so we're in the process right now of looking at evaluators and getting and just trying to get a good look at
Those are
what
social workers, right? Like the
it can be.
evaluators.
Yeah, we ideally we would hope that it'd be someone from one of the local schools or nonprofit organization. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but right now we're in the process of moving forward with that, and also right, there, like I said, there's the grants portal is an amazing area right now. There's a social and emotional learnings grant that is $243,000 for organizations. So these are the things, the opportunities for people to take part
You want me to hear what I got to say about your grant portals and all that?
curious.
What I will say is it's a blessing that now we're putting money in space to help programs.
Right.
But what I do see in Baltimore City is the nonprofit complex of the world right now. Every nonprofit is in Baltimore City. Like you create the problem, then you create the nonprofit to not fix the problem. That's what's going on in Baltimore. So the people who are getting the money are the same agencies, and we don't see any output of this work. And if you do apply for the money, then they want to oversight you when the city has no oversight by community. But if you're in the community, they got to come in, they got to see, they got to be inside, they got to see everything. And I understand if somebody gives you money, they got to know where the money's being earmarked. Understandable. But I don't think the city is equipped to tell people what they can and not do because you haven't done it. So that's my thing is you can't give me money for some shit you can't do and then tell me how to do it. I said it. I
I
said it,
mean,
Rob
it's
Bizzell.
grant. All right. So if it's grant funds, though, there's an expectation. There's accountability involved with the
It
money.
is. And
And
how you
I'm
gonna count
excited
for me
that.
to do it
Can I
and you
say this
didn't do
part
it?
though? I really feel strong about this. That when I was, like I said, I was at MOCJ for 4 years, but it didn't have that ability to connect, support, and fund the people
Mm-hmm.
doing that work. Those organizations, those nonprofits that had 2 or 3 people, those hopes of the world, those small groups that are putting in work, and with a small investment, it would be a force multiplier. They could do 10 times as much with
Yeah.
support. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm excited about. Like there are a lot of small groups that you would be surprised that that in your communities that are
Mm-hmm.
getting funding.
Yeah,
That's
they're
that's
getting funded, and I'm glad of that. And we'll talk off air because everything ain't for everybody. We got to keep 100. Sometimes we got to talk to each other. But listen, Rob, you've been here for an hour and it doesn't even feel
wow,
like it.
wow.
Yeah, and I just so appreciate your honesty. I appreciate you, and you stood fast when I came at you. You stood it. I don't know what size your shoes are, but they holding you down, bro.
Well, listen, I've been in this office for 6 years. Everybody not saying sweet things in my ear about what's happening. So I'm used to it, but I do know that I'm just really I'm thankful to do the work I do. I feel lucky and blessed.
That's a
Um,
blessing.
and I know, and I understand the frustration because I'm clear about the loss of life and opportunity and things that
Yeah,
are happening while we have a responsibility to the citizens. So I get it that the frustration, they should be pushing and not be satisfied. So I get that, and I get that. What you're saying, I understand.
okay.
I
Well, I
don't
appreciate
pretend
that.
that everything is good.
Yeah.
I do feel like, and I think we talked a little bit about this a minute ago before we came on, is that addressing some of these things that people normally won't address, it, it takes, some of the things that have taken hundreds of years to develop.
Hmm.
And when you address it, it's a risk, it takes
It
a
is
little
a
bit, a
risk. It
little bit
is
of
a risk.
courage instead of going for the low hanging fruit, you know.
That's true. That's true. And listen, I'm gonna give y'all a little kudos. I gotta hear a little more. I am gonna give you, but you know what I will say is I am encouraged that we are empowering Black men. In a space when it comes to a city that is highly populated by Black people, and when you're arresting, you're gonna arrest Black children, and the coordinator that you call first is a Black man. And a man that cares and excited about his space. I'm encouraged by that, and I really appreciate that you're in that space because there could be someone else who really don't understand culture and understand being a young Black youth, in any city, because all of them are like they all have like issues, and so I appreciate that part of it. And if I could work with you guys to make it a better place for our young people, listen, Black Box Radio is here. We want to have these conversations. I would like to have an open forum so that people in the community can really talk to the people who are making the decisions. That's the issue, is we don't have a portal to talk to each other. So that's what I would like to see happen. But that's if the city, is ready for those conversations, because a lot of people don't want to hear what they don't do right. They want to hear what they do right. And so that's the issue I'm seeing. But I appreciate
They
you.
got some tough skin over there. I don't think, I think they heard the earful.
Well, I got some too. Let's go. Let's fight.
I'm just saying that they can take the people, like the input is nothing new. Like they've been, I know they were like maybe 25
if y'all
listening
can take
sessions.
it, let's have an open discussion with the community. We can set it up, talk about it, we make it happen. If y'all can take it and you say you can take it, let's do it then. I want to hear
what been taking it.
I don't know if you've been taking it, because I ain't seen no open nothing. But anyway, so I want you to do something for me. I want you to leave an inspirational jewel from Rob Bizzell with the Black Boxes. Leave something from you.
Well, I say that we can do this if we decide to do it, to follow our hearts and to do better. This can be done. I mean, I know I've felt as frustrated as a lot of people, but I do feel encouraged. I think that this can be done if we just stay in there and follow the processes that we know are successful, the things that we know work. Mm-hmm. Don't get overwhelmed. Like I said, I'm not going to bite off more than I chew. I came here thinking I was going to save the city 6 years ago, but I do know now that I can do this. This is my part. Mm-hmm. We all can find something that we can do.
That's true.
I talk about, it doesn't cost anything to go put some drinks on your corner and sweep up your corner. It just, or to give some, find a way to encourage your people in your community.
Yeah.
So I think that I guess the takeaway is that we all have some power and we're not powerless. We can make a change.
Love that. I love that, because I told you, when staying in power, having power, and us living in our power is the most important place. And when we live in our power, that's what we'll give to our children, so they can be powerful and do things that's going to make them great. I tell you, this has been a great conversation. I love the back and forth. I miss my man Twan. Twan, love you, brother. Sorry he couldn't be here, but we will be back next month on the corner, giving out some. And we'll have another community leader. Rob, we appreciate your input tonight. I really, really appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for coming through.
I appreciate the opportunity and your candidness.
I don't know what that means. We'll talk about that in a few. You stay right there. Listen, Black Boxes. Listen, go to BlackBoxRadio.com, subscribe to that thing, hit that YouTube up. We got to build a YouTube channel. Our birthday is 9/19/22. There will be Facebook. We're going to go off of Facebook. We're going to do just YouTube, because we want to build this channel and be able to do and be able to touch more people and kind of get out of the Facebook universe. It holds us in a space. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Black Box Radio, and subscribe to our website. We will stream live in the website too, BlackBoxRadio.com. Listen, have a great night. Be blessed. We box up and out. Can I get them deuces, Robert? Don't go nowhere. Stay right there.
All right.